But Miss Cindy, yeah, so thank you so much for meeting with me, and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Can you introduce yourself to us? Tell us more about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Cyndi Pressler, and I'm physically located here in San Antonio, Texas. I was born and raised in Texas and have been in senior living since I was 17 years old. So I counted that up yesterday. I'm
Wow.
about to have a birthday next month. That means for 55 years, I've been not with one company, but with the same industry. So I feel like that's an
Wow.
accomplishment. So somehow they kept me
That
around.
that's a wealth of knowledge. That's a wealth of knowledge for
Well,
sure.
it's a nice place to be in life to actually have some history behind you. So sometimes
Mhm.
people wonder, what's it going to be like when I'm older? Well, I'm here to tell you that my 50s were better than my 40s, and my 70s have been better than all the 60s. So I can't complain.
That's excellent. That's what I want. That's a goal of mine as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Longevity.
So
I
like, how did you get into assisted living facilities? Well, how did you first get started? Like 50 years ago.
Well, when I was 17, I was working, was graduated from high school in Del Rio, Texas, and I was preparing to go to college out in West Texas. And, I'm middle income family. I needed money. So my part-time job, my senior semester and that summer before college, I worked the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift at the local nursing home. And that was back in the days
Wow.
when we did not have training per se, and we didn't have titles. We were called by the nurse, hey, you go do that. And so that's how we got trained, and that's how we learned to follow orders. And it was quite a journey. But from there, of course, I went to college. And just to make a long story short, I don't know whose hand, God or whatever, and the fact that, of course, I'm in that baby boomer generation of the boomers. Of course, I didn't realize that when I was 17, right? But looking back, a lot of jobs were in the senior market. That's where the trend was. And so doors kept opening and I moved into it. Never planned to work in senior living, never planned for any of this. I had big dreams. I was multi-language and I was going to go to school, never get married, never have children, travel, learn language, become a linguist, write, and maybe do foreign affairs, but travel the world. So I didn't finish college. I just kept getting certifications and working and ended up getting married, had 4 children grown, and all the in-law kids, and 16 grandkids at last count, and 3 great grandkids so far. So, whew, a far cry from never getting married, right?
That
So
that that's you know what? Things change.
yeah, they do. They do. Life and situations change regardless of your plans. It's good to have plans and goals, but just be prepared for those curves that come along that change your decision and your direction. But I couldn't be happier. I mean, I was blessed with so many opportunities, and how I got into assisted living. I started off, like I said, working in nursing home. I ended up working in programs at the county level in Central Texas, Area Agency on Aging, working in senior programming, and from there ended up at um, the state level and the what was called DADS, which is now HHSC, the Veteran Land Board at one point, and I've worked everything from programming, education, training to Medicaid to veteran nursing home system to sales and marketing to all kinds of stuff, grant writing, program development, all kinds of things. And I ended up, when I left the Veteran Land Board, I became an assisted living manager. And that was back in about 2000. And that then, I had been on the end where I was involved in writing, understanding, interpreting policy for Texas for assisted living. And then I ended up moving into that. It was interesting. When I first got hired at DADS, the regional operations director said one day, he goes, she's going to end up owning assisted livings. Well, I've never owned one, but I've started and opened many. And it's been a great career, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it when I was writing the regs and learning all of that end of it. And then I really fell in love with it when I worked on the floor and started managing and helping seniors and their families and all that kind of stuff. It's just been tremendous. Learned a lot of stuff to learn, but very rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like from it's very different when you're also like writing the regs and actually physically being there with the patient itself. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's rewarding in that sense, you know?
Well, I love history. I love history, and it was really interesting. I had a great opportunity in those days, back in the early 80s and 90s, to really dig in and learn the Older Americans Act, what happened at the top in Washington, how it filtered down to the
Wow.
states, how politicians actually think and work to get policy in place, and all the financial, the budgeting, the tax base that supports our Medicaid programs and different food programs, and just learning all the pieces of the puzzle was so interesting to me. And I don't know, I just, like I said, I didn't plan on it, but it seems like I fit really good and it fit me. So here I am.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that you're very passionate about it, you know? Like that's the kind of person I would want making the regulations for sure.
Well, you know what? There's a bunch of us my age that were involved at that time, and we're getting older and we're going to be leaving soon. So you guys need to take advantage while we're here, while we still can talk, and while we still don't
We,
have dementia, we can remember.
we need to learn everything from you for sure.
Maybe not
Oh,
everything.
wow.
I do have a few
Most of the good
faults.
stuff, most of the good stuff. So
There are
wow.
still things I don't know.
So you went from regs to helping people create their own assisted living facilities. Do you still remember like one your very first one? Is that something that you remember doing? Like
Oh
what
yeah.
year was that?
Oh goodness. The first time that I was still working in assisted living, so I was working for a corporate company. And so
Mm,
helping, the very first assisted living in 2000 that I was the manager or executive director, they called us then. Um, that was a community that it's not no longer owned by the same company, but at that time, that little 40 apartment complex had been open for 6 years, and they had struggled. They had never been
mm.
above about 60% occupancy, and they
Okay.
had multiple, like even more than two executive directors in a year's time. They just had struggled with staffing,
Wow.
just whatever the reason was. They were
Mm,
also contracted with Medicaid at that point. So that was back in the days when assisted living was pretty prevalent, that an assisted living would be contracting with Medicaid. So it was a great
mm,
opportunity to learn how that worked and to serve those two variables in the population. But yeah, it was a great learning curve. And I don't know why I was good at it. I can't tell you why I was good at it other than I love business. And I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So I kind of got how the business end went. And I loved talking, as you can't probably tell. And so that was a good skill to have,
mm.
to talk to people in the community and families. And then, by then you asked another question in a minute that I think we'll get to, but by then I had learned to also listen. So instead of just talk, but just networking and putting that puzzle together of, does this family fit here? Does the resident fit here? Will my staff know how to take care of them? And if the staff needs help, how do I help them? And just a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle, and learning to do all that. But my crowning point for all of that history of that first experience was that within 6 months, we went from 60% occupancy to 75. And by the ninth month, we were at 100%. By the 12th month, we had a long waiting list, and we were
Wow.
well on our way to being in budget, and investors were happy and everything was looking good. So it was a lot of fun. The very first 2 weeks on the job, my
Wow.
cook got sick and had a family death out in California. And so I had to be the chief um, cook and bottle washer for 10 days, and everybody survived. Learning
You
to
know,
run that dishwasher machine and not spray down the whole kitchen was a trick.
I'm sure that must have been something because you said how many beds was there? So you cooked for
It was
all those
it was
people?
40 apartments. Uh-huh. And they were
Wow.
um they were mostly all single occupancy,
Mhm.
except unless there were a few couples. We didn't have shared apartments at that time, at that community. So it was, yeah, I was, and thank God the staff, you know, they decided that they liked me and they weren't going to mutiny. So they were 100% behind me, and we just made it fun. We just made it fun. The residents thought it was a big hoot that the big boss was doing the hard work. And, you know, I learned
Mhm.
a lot. You learn a lot of things if you just take your challenges and dig in, because I learned things that the cook had to go through in the kitchen that nobody sees, right? And that the servers had to deal with, and that the residents had to deal with when things didn't go smoothly and they were hungry and dinner was late, or it wasn't what they liked, or golly gee, Cyndi
Mhm.
burned the chicken and we got to do something else. You know, I mean, you just kind of make it fun. And so we kind of made it like, you might be too young to know who Lucille Ball is, but we kind of made it a comedy routine and had a good time with it.
That's good. That's good. Just rolling with the punches, rolling with the challenges. I think that's the best way to do it, you know, because a lot
Yeah.
of times I feel that I do have some people that, you know, when a problem comes, you're like frozen or you're like, oh my gosh, where do I go? And then
Yeah.
to kind of just roll and kind of go with it, not be afraid to make mistakes,
Yeah.
little mistakes where no one gets hurt. It's fine.
Right.
So
And
that's good.
call on people for help. You can't do it all by yourself. You've got to have the team's got to help you, but they've got to see that you're willing to receive help too. Because sometimes they
Hmm.
they've had experiences where they didn't have a boss that would let them help or wouldn't micromanage them or whatever. You know what I mean? And so you save
Hmm.
all of that falling apart for when you go home at night and go, I screwed this whole day up, but nobody knows it yet. Thank God.
No, nobody found out.
Or at least they didn't hang me with the
That's
noose.
awesome.
They let me get away with it at least once.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. It's truly a whole
that's
team.
good. 10 days at least.
Oh gosh, that was, man. Don't think I didn't treat my cook like a queen from there on after when she finally got back. She We were
It,
happy for her
you know,
to
it
come
was a
home.
blessing for everybody.
Yes. And we made sure that she knew. And I told the residents, I said, you make sure and you tell her that my cooking was horrible, but that they were happy, and tell them you were happy that I was here, but they're so glad to have you back. So
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
really
it was
excellent.
fun. It was funny.
So that was your first experience. So like, how do you fit into the assisted living facility world like now, like these days?
Well, I really, like we said in the beginning, it's so nice to have some history and some knowledge behind you that you know that you know that you know that's real truth, right? It's not
Mhm.
just coming out of a book. You're not just a person with a degree from, I mean, look at me, I'm 70 years old, and the last assisted living job I had, my regional director of sales was 23 years old. I was like,
Wow.
how do you even know what you're doing, girl? But she did, you know, and I had to learn from her, right? She learned from me too. But yeah, you just I think I got off track there. So Carl, but what was the focus of the question? I kind of got off on a tangent there.
No, no, that's good. That's fine. I was just asking like, so that was what you did back then. So how were you
So I got it. Yeah. So when I
in
retired,
facility
I
now?
just retired a couple of years ago from being out in the field and working for someone else, and started working for myself. And I love the fact that I've got all this experience that I can share. And I love the fact that I've kept relationships intact throughout the years. So take care of the network relationships you have, because you never know when they're going to come back around, and they're going to need you
Mhm.
or you're going to need them. So now I have a team of people that help me with consulting, that are the experts from my era of being you know, we were all out there together, and now we're all retired, but now we're working together again. So it's great, because you can't know everything, you can't do everything. So you, no matter what, if you're working for yourself especially, you need a team of people that you can go to for support and help. And you know, you just want to be able to say, I might not know that answer, but by golly, I know somebody who does, and I can't wait to connect them with you. So be willing to share and be open, and you know, you just can't do it all yourself. And that, I think that's the biggest thing I learned. Because I'm a type A, and I used to be that person like my dad, where if I have to take time to explain to you to do what I need you to do, I might as well just do it myself. That's a terrible attitude. You will not get far in life with that attitude. So being willing to let go and understanding. I also want to say, in spite of all the things I know about assisted living and business, I think the best thing that I ever learned about working was how to work with people and understanding other people, which means first you have to understand yourself. So I've invested in lots of books and lots of therapy and lots of classes on personalities and how people learn. And I was also a teacher at one time in my life when my children were small. And just lots of opportunity to be educated about different things, but learning about people, if you're in a people business, then you need to understand people. You cannot understand people
Mhm.
if you understand yourself. So whatever you need to do to understand what motivates you, get clarity on how you operate, then you will be able to give to others and you'll be open um, to hearing from others. You know, I just wrote, I'm a writer too. I think I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but I just had the
No, no.
great
You
opportunity.
haven't.
Yeah, I just had the great opportunity to to co-publish a music poetry book this last fall that was just for my friend and I,
Okay.
Deborah. Deborah's a composer. She's so smart. She's much smarter than I am intellectually. And she understands math and music, and she knows how to read music and write music and all that kind of stuff. I can barely sing, okay, but I certainly can't read music notes. But we found out by accident last year that she also writes poetry. So do I. And we found out she was writing songs and I was writing poems. We didn't know it, but we were writing the same theme about the same thing. And so we decided to put them together
Wow.
and publish a book for our friends and a few friends and family, and it's called, that's going to look backwards, it's called Book of Hidden Treasures, and it's a beautifully published
Hmm.
music book. So if you're a pianist, you can open this and play this song, and then there's a poem
Look at
with the
that.
same theme that goes along with those lyrics. So very exciting. But the important thing about this for me, I've been published before, but the important thing is that my friend Deborah and I both have faith from two completely opposite methodologies and points of
Hmm.
reference. And to come together and realize that we were so far apart and so different, but so similar in what the Spirit was speaking to each of us. So, common ground.
That's beautiful. That's
Learning
beautiful.
that you have common ground with that residential care aide that doesn't have much money or much education and a broken down car, and she's a single mom and she has trouble getting to work in the morning, and you're angry because she's late. But learning about her life, maybe not making excuses for her, but learning about her
Mhm.
life and where she's coming from, and how can the two of you together help solve that problem so that that senior gets taken care of. You know, learning that
That's excellent.
your competitor might be your best referral source, and finding out where's that common ground so you can make that happen for each other instead of having a closed door and not talking, or not coming together on
Mhm.
behalf of the community. So everything is about community when you're working with seniors. Everything. You're working with the senior in their life, their family, the staff person who's caring for them. You know, you're trying to keep your investor and your boss happy that they're paying their bill or they're not paying their bill. And what are you going
Mhm.
to do about it? Or, there's just, it's all of that, all the good and all the bad all rolled in together.
I can tell that you're like very good with people. Like, is that how you increase the occupancy so much? Like, was it all referrals? Like, how did that happen? Like in that going back to that first example you had, like I feel like was it you that brought people in? Did you have connections from other people that was like, hey, help me fill this place? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, I didn't like to say that because I thought it sounded so egotistical, but I learned over the years to take credit for what's rightfully yours. And When you
Mhm.
get comfortable with yourself, you're okay with your skills and you can say,
Mhm.
I'm good at that. I'm really good at
Mhm.
that. Why am I good at it? Because I really care about you, right?
Mhm.
I really am interested in your story and in your point of reference and how can we solve your problem? They used to tell me in Central Texas, I heard one time at a meeting, somebody said, they didn't know I was there. I'd walked in late and it was a roundtable discussion. We were setting up a hospice board, trying to get hospice in Bell County. And I
Wow.
was in late from another meeting and somebody said, I don't know, but if you call Cyndi Pressler, even if she doesn't know, I bet you $10 she knows somebody that knows that answer because she knows everybody. You know, the last assisted living that I helped open in Schertz, Texas, I was on what we called a round robin trip before we got the building built with our senior vice president and one of the investors, and we were traveling all over Texas looking at different communities. And we stopped at Buc-ee's and we came out, got in the car, they got the gas. I'd gone into the restroom and came out, and I was laughing. And my boss said, "What are you laughing about?" And I said, "Look at this." And I had a little piece of scratch paper. And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "We got to get back to Schertz this afternoon because these people are traveling through and they're going to come by for a tour, a hard hat tour today, because they're looking for a place for
Wow.
their mom." And he said, "Where'd you meet them?" And I said, "In the ladies' bathroom." So, you know,
We were
just
just talking
talking.
about assisted livings.
Yes, just be open. People really do want to make connection, but we've just sometimes lost the art of how to do that. So just being open to people and being friendly, being welcoming.
That's that's excellent. That is excellent.
Yeah.
I don't know, like have you I I kind of have a feeling that even the people you work with probably referred people to your assisted livings because they just know like how it's being run. Like I just have that feeling with you.
Well, yeah, but let me clarify something. They will refer to places that I recommend. I don't actually own an assisted living now, and I don't work in one. I strictly am a consultant, but
Mhm.
I visit residential care homes because I do training and education. I want to know about I come from a licensing background, and in my
Mhm.
day, an unlicensed community was like, "Ooh, we don't want to do that," because that was bad news back in the 80s in Austin. Bad things were happening, right? But that's
Mhm.
all changed. That's changed a lot. And so my job these last 2 years, remember I said you don't know everything always. There's always things to learn. So I made it my business the last couple of years to get to know the unlicensed care home community, the 3 and under homes, and
Mhm.
to differentiate and also to educate the licensed ones that those homes are assisted living just like you are. They're just not licensed. Some of them will be
Absolutely.
eventually, but bringing people together and creating that knowledge base of we're all in this together and we all have different challenges and different needs and similar challenges and similar needs. So finding out where that ground is and having that conversation is really important if we want to if we want to move forward in the big picture and if we want to be able to truly help people. And I want you guys to be able to do that because, one day I'm going to not be so independent and my kids are going to tell me it's time, Mom. And I'm going to
Time
say,
to
and I don't have to live with you, right? I'm going to go to an assisted living or a care home. So not that I don't love them, but I've already been there and done that. I've already lived with them when I
in
was
terms
raising them. Go ahead.
in terms of like consulting, like I've never worked with a consultant. Like what how does that mean like if someone were to approach you like, hey, I need help opening assisted living facility, can you kind of walk me through that process? Like what would you ask of them? Like what do you expect them to share with you or to how would you best be able to help them?
Just like I do it, just like I would do if I was if a family came to me and said, "I'm looking for an assisted living. Can you give me a tour today? And why would I move into yours?" Then it's the same process. It's called discovery. It's called having that conversation. So that's why I offer a 30-minute free consultation to anybody that is not a client yet that wants to, I want to have a conversation with them and I want to know, why do you want to be in this business? What's your
Mhm.
dream and your goals? What's your motivation? Do you
Mhm.
understand the business end? What do you know about it? So there's 3 things that I
Mhm.
always ask people. I always ask people, Carl, to do an exercise with me and make 3 columns. We're going to talk about, what do I know about this subject? What do I not know about this subject? And then in between, what happens is a third thing. What do I really need to know? Because we can fool
Exactly.
ourselves into thinking that we know everything, or we can pretend that we've asked all the right questions. But 9 times out of 10, these 2 things here will show us the real question that needs answering. So doing that helps people figure out, I don't know, I just thought it sounded good, or I know how to take care of people really good, but I know nothing about business. So getting a consultant can really help you focus. And we have on what you need to know, what you need to do. I've actually counseled people several times in the past 6, 8 months that have decided. I've even had people go through that process with me and then decide, ooh, maybe this isn't the right industry for me. I had different expectations. Investors. Well, I'd rather have
Mhm.
something that turns quicker, because I tell everybody, if you're going to invest in assisted living, you're looking at a 1 to 5 year commitment before you get, don't even think about anything else. 1 to 5 years is the pattern. It's people.
Mhm.
You've got to invest time and energy and knowledge and know-how. Maybe that's not the turnkey business for you. Maybe there is another business you can get return on investment faster. If that's the only
Mhm.
motivation you have, then yes, this is a lucrative business, but it might not be the one you're looking for. So what's worse? What's going to be worse? To tell you you can do it when you really don't have the right reasons to be doing it, and then you fail? And then whose fault
Mhm.
is that? The teacher, right? So it goes back to a teacher-student mentality. My job is not to own your business. My job is to help you own your business. And I know
Mhm.
how to own a business. So I'm going to teach you what I know. It's just like, why do you get a consultant? Well, if you're going to be a real estate agent, why do you think they require you to take a real estate training and exam and licensing? If you're going to be an insurance agent, you have to take classes and you have to pass a state exam. If you're going to be a social
Mhm.
worker, got to have a degree and you got to pass the state exam, which, by the way, I passed the state exam with a class of 7 PhDs from Baylor without having a degree. So kudos to me. But
Awesome. Awesome.
but the it's just, people do get skittish about, well, I don't know if I should hire a consultant. It's kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to therapy. Well,
Mhm.
if you would go to therapy, you'd probably find answers to some things that have been bugging you. And I will promise you one thing about life: the things that are bugging you are going to keep coming back until you resolve them. So you might as well give in.
Mhm.
I tell my grandkids all the time, when you're a teenager, you might as well give in and go to therapy. I'm telling you right now, you need help. You're on the other side of the dark side of the moon. You're going to come back, but right now you need help getting there.
You don't want to need the help 10 years from now and everything's crashing down, you know?
Yeah, if you delay
Yeah.
things. So we have a philosophy at Consult Cyndi, and that's called start right, stay right. And the reason
Okay.
is because time equals money. Time and money. You're either going to put the time in yourself and you're losing money because you're spending time doing things you could get help with, or you're going to put the time in with a consultant and then put your money somewhere where it's more effective sooner.
Mhm.
But it's about losing time or losing money, or gaining time and gaining money. Those 2 things are equilateral. So keeping that in mind, we try to teach you how to start right, stay right. Do we have 100% fail-proof system? No, because we have to factor you in. We have to factor in the human factor. We're all going to make mistakes. Are you ever going to have a 100% perfect survey? Can I guarantee you that? No, but I can promise you that we're going to hold your hand, we're going to have answers, and we're going to walk you through to success. And you're probably, because here's why: surveyors have one main goal. I know, because I was a surveyor and I've trained some.
Mhm.
Your one main goal is to find something wrong.
That's always going to happen.
That windowsill is dirty. It doesn't pass the white glove. That windowsill is not at the right height. That doorknob doesn't do correctly for a senior's hand. That got to fix it. Can't pass survey till you fix it. So doing as much as we can, but I always tell people, I can guarantee you one thing. Your surveyor is going to find one thing wrong because that's his job. That's what he's been trained to do.
Mhm.
But he hasn't
Mhm.
been trained to do that to be mean. He's been trained to do it because Texas wants safe homes and environments and care for a vulnerable senior population. That's where
Mhm.
it all started with. Taking care of people who can't take care of themselves any longer. It's important to have good policy, good procedures, good training, good safety, good fire safety, good evacuation schedules, good train, just everything. It's important because it's about the lives of human beings.
Exactly. It's
About,
like it's
about
not
my
just
mother
money.
and your
Mhm.
mother. It's about your grandmother. It's about people who've lived their life and they deserve some respect and care.
Like in your experience, Cindy, like when someone approaches you and they say they come in with the right reasons, like, I want to help my family. They're gonna need assisted living in the next 10 years. I just kind of want to get in the business now. Like from that point until they're running an assisted living facility, like what does that time frame look like in your experience in Texas? In Texas.
If everything is perfect, if everything is perfect, 3 to 6 months, you're up and running and licensed, right? But rarely does that
Oh,
truly happen that way
okay.
because because when you start the process, even if you have a good consultant, you also may have you'll get your feasibility study done for your before your survey happens so that you
Mhm.
can tell what have our architect do that so you can tell what things are in my building that may need tweaking before the surveyor comes out. Then if you do
Mhm.
have things, renovations, things that have to happen, can you fix it yourself or do you have to depend on a subcontractor and his
Mhm.
schedule, right? You have to wait on the fire marshal's schedule. You have to wait on the sprinkler system if you're getting licensed and you have to have a sprinkler system, and you have to wait for parts to come in. I just had a friend who had a front end wreck with his Highlander, and it was 4.5 months before the engine part could come in because
My
it's
gosh.
Toyota and it's overseas.
Mhm.
So,
Hard. That's hard.
was the body work done? It was everything ready? Yeah. But the one part to replace in the engine, it took that long.
Mhm.
So all that time we're waiting and waiting and waiting, right? And you're doing without a car, you're paying for a rental. So that's where we talk about start right, stay right. Have a good team behind you that can help. The last community that just went through their survey code that consult with me, we it was so great because every time they had a question about something from the surveyor, they had a very special situation in the middle of their survey. The administrator passed away suddenly, unexpectedly.
Oh,
And so
nice.
then we
Yeah.
had to go through a delay in finding someone to come in as interim. And then the survey had to be restarted. And then, so they had a lot of time delays that were out of their control, right? But
Mhm.
because we were on board, we were able to be there when the new person had a question that the board did. It was a nonprofit, so the board didn't know the answers, right? So we were there to
Mhm.
say, they could call me and say, oh my gosh, we don't know what to do about this. And I could say, here's the TAC code. Here's what you do. We're going to have so-and-so. Here's the fire person that did that. You need to contact them and have them come and fix this. So it was just, and that's an extreme situation, but all the time I get calls from people in the middle of their process. And, I've had people call and say, well, I took the CALM certification and I already got the feasibility study done, but I don't know how to read the feasibility study report. Nothing against the architect who did it, but he doesn't do it the way my specialist does it, which the way my specialist does it is it's in plain language. Here's the problem. Here's the window that needs adjusting. Here's the number of inches. Here's the TAC code that goes with it. And here's what you tell the subcontractor. So if you're a woman
Mhm.
in business or a man, but especially a woman, and you have a subcontractor come out and he tries to sell you 15 things that you don't need, You just you go, thank you
Hmm.
very much. Here's my report. This is the one thing I want you to do. What's the bid for that? So it helps you be
Hmm.
astute about your own business acumen, your own business processes. And what does that affect? Your bottom line dollars, right? Time
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
money. So educating you and giving you the right structure of support is of utmost importance to us.
In terms of like you mentioned a couple of disciplines there, are those people that you already work with, like a team that you can refer to, or is it something that a consultee would have to search for themselves?
It's I will tell you the answer the way I tell everybody. It is your
Yes.
business. You can contact whoever you want. But if you want my
Mhm.
help, and if you value what I'm telling you, this is the person you should reach out to. Or if you would like for me to reach out to that person and ask this question for you, that's fine. I prefer to do that because it keeps our whole team involved. So these people do not work for me as a salary. They partner with me as a professional. So I vet them out and I only allow, only if it meets my standard of expectation do you partner with me.
Mhm.
But I will always
That's excellent.
release you. I will always release you like a good teacher and say, it is your choice for your business. My best practice advice is this,
Hmm.
and I'll support you either way. But if you go to this other place and you end up having to take a step backwards, I will remind you gently, time equals money. And if you trust me and watch my provenness, I will guide you in the right direction. And if there's something that we need and I don't have that on my team as a resource, what do you think my next step action is for myself? I'm going to go find that
You,
expert and get them on
you
my
know somebody.
yeah, going to
For
get them
sure.
on my team. But I'm going to vet them out. I'm not going to just, I know so many people over my years of working the industry. There's a select few that I invite to be speakers on my training courses because I know
Mhm.
them, I know their ethics, I know their experience level, I know their quality of work, and that's what I want replicated. There might be
That's
10
excellent.
more. I have a favorite lawyer that I asked to talk about elder law. Are there other people that know about elder law? Yes, there are.
Mhm.
And there's even a couple I'd probably recommend if my favorite one wasn't available. But he's my favorite because he's proven over the years. I've watched him help veterans and their families. I've watched how he works with people. I know what his company's about. And I was on a committee way before this young man was graduated out of college in Central Texas with the Young Lawyers Association, who started back in the day with what we called qualified income trust for protection
Ah,
of Medicaid monies and in resources. So I understand all of that. I'm not going to go do the presentation about it because I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm going to
mhm.
find somebody who knows what I know and more and have them do it. So again, that goes back to finding people to help you. I learned from a book I read one time, and I think probably real estate moguls and different people use this, but surround yourself. If you want to be an eagle, if you want to learn to fly like an eagle, surround yourself with eagles that are flying so that you can learn and grow. And then recruit
Mhm.
to your team, right? Get on there, get on board with them and have them on board with you. So it's always about developing those um, professional resources that you feel comfortable and that you can sleep at night knowing that you gave good advice and good information and good connection.
Somebody you trust. That's
Yeah.
excellent. That's
Trust.
excellent.
That's right. Trust. Yeah.
Now, I know you probably talked to a couple of um, people that need your services. What would you say is one of the top challenges, like top two challenges, would you say? And then do you have any solutions for those two challenges or one or two challenges?
You mean
Like what is something?
challenges in getting started or challenges
Yes. Yes. Challenges in getting started.
understanding money,
Hmm.
understanding how money works? Money comes in and money goes out. You can bleed and you're going to bleed. You're going to bleed money when you start up. You have to
Mhm.
understand that. But if you have a bigger picture of understanding that you must be in control of money or it will control you, understanding and not being afraid to answer the question, do I have enough money to do this? And if I don't, what is my next steps?
Mhm.
So that's the biggest challenge, I think, is one of them is understanding money and being willing to deal with that. There is resolution, but you have to understand how to ask the right questions.
I
Okay.
understand.
I had a big dream for many years of having my own business. But Carl, I was a single mom at some points. I had children to feed. Was it frustrating not running my own business and working for somebody else who was running the business wrong? Yes, very.
Mhm.
But the timing wasn't right. I couldn't take a risk. I couldn't jump off that cliff, right? And do what I knew how to do, because I needed to feed the kids and they needed a roof over their head, which meant the mortgage had to be paid on time. So
Mhm.
you've got to be smart enough to balance. And the one thing I've learned as an older person now, and it took a lifetime to learn it, is that everything will resolve. Stay focused, don't get in a hurry, have confidence. Jumping off of cliffs fit some personalities. It fits my personality great because I'm that person that says, what? We're going to go hiking and jump off the cliff and dive into, how deep is that water? We don't know, but it's going to be fun. That's me.
Ah.
I need that person beside me that says, Cyndi, let's get a water report first, just to see how deep that is before we jump into it from 50 feet up. I need those kind of people in my life because I'll jump off the cliff, break my leg and go, well, that hurt, but gosh, it was fun. You know? My dad said to me one time, am I going to have to punish you again for this? Is this enough? Wasn't that enough? And I with tears streaming down my face stood there and said, probably. And he said, why? Because I had so much fun. So I was a terrible child to raise, but you've got taking risk is great. You
Mhm.
can calculate too long and miss the risk and the opportunity, or you can get help and calculate the risk and then make an educated decision. You're always going to run the risk of making a mistake, but let's minimize the mistake so that it's not devastating to your life, your budget, your partner, your wife, your husband, your children, the things that are most important in your life. So you got to balance, so
Mhm.
yeah, so
I agree. I mean,
that's a challenge.
that's the hard part. Like sometimes I feel like, especially for myself within the past year, there's been a lot of like shiny objects, I guess, that could do this or could do that, but I've had to take a step back and be like, all right, what am I really what am I really doing? Like what is um what is my goal? And it was reflecting on these questions, what is my original goal? Why am I even doing this? That really kind of gave me peace, and then the peace to move a certain way instead of like thinking like, oh my gosh, did I miss out? Am I missing out? Did I miss out? Am I going to miss out? So I think it's reflecting on these goals. Why are you even doing these? That kind of helps me focus. And it's I need constant reminders, of course, because I feel like every day I'm getting bombarded with like opportunities and things like that. But it's like, if this
Boy,
opportunity doesn't match my goal, then I need to let that opportunity go. So
you're
that's
you're 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 preaching to me right now. I have a, even I have a business coach, a consultant that I go to. I have two actually.
Mhm.
I have a
That's
financial
excellent.
one and I have a personal one. And that is because sometimes you can't trust your own brain, especially if,
Right.
especially if you're a high energy, highly creative person.
Mhm.
You think you can do everything, and
Oh man.
I have a big picture of the umbrella called Consult Cyndi, and it's got a lot of opportunities in it, right? But you got to
Mhm.
know, is this one stable enough for me to add this next rung? Or is it going to
Mhm.
collapse the umbrella? And
Mhm.
I'm not that great at that because I always think I can do it all. Oh, I can publish that book. I can get that new client. I can take on 10 projects. Oh yeah, we can start that other marketing division. Yeah, we can do the tech stuff. Yeah, I can see it all. I'm a visionary, but knowing how to be smart enough to let it be born, so to speak, let everything come together. And you said something about, I hate it when I see good opportunities that I'm like, I can't pass it by. Yeah, you can,
Yes.
but you can turn. If you don't have the right, if it's not the right timing and you don't have the energy, the everything you need to put into that opportunity, you're going to mess it up. But if you leave it alone, if it's a good enough opportunity, it's going to come back around at the right time. I promise.
Mhm.
I've learned that just from life. That's the way it works. But when we're young and you're visionary and you've got high energy or whatever the reason is, you want to jump and go because, man, I got to grab it now. Right. But actually, life repeats itself all the time. If you look at
Mhm.
the fashion industry, it
Oh
recycles
yeah,
styles every 20 years. You
exactly, exactly. Like I'm seeing things. We have like younger friends in high school. Like they're and then I'm looking like, wait a second. I wore that in high school 20 years ago. Like it's
know?
back. It's you know what? I didn't have to throw my clothes out after all, you know?
I know, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That it's just, watching and learning. There's all kinds of lessons all around us all the time. I read a book one time called Acres of Diamonds, and it was a
Hmm.
business allegory book about business, but it's told in a story form. And the whole point
Hmm.
of it is that we're all out there trying to find those acres where we can dig up all of our diamonds. And so often they're right that one big diamond's just right in the backyard waiting for you. So,
Oh, that's true. That's
but
true.
we pass it by because it didn't look shiny enough.
That's excellent advice. Yeah, like for me personally, I've been I've been kind of thinking about some things and then like I've been kind of basing it off emotion, I guess, how do I feel? And then I I have these Facebook, what do you call it? These Facebook flash memories, Facebook memories. And I
Yeah,
saw a memory from 10 years ago and it was talking about like, if you feel, what is it? If you feel sad, it's because you're stuck in the past. And if you feel anxious, you're stuck in the future, or you're thinking too much about the future. And if you're happy, then you're in the present. And I was like, huh, I like that. And that's exactly how I feel like I've been like thinking about stuff in the future. It's like, oh, what do I need to get done? What do we need to do? Like, is this the right choice for the family? And that, like, these important questions. But I'm like, yeah, this is just making me anxious. Like I just need to like I need to step back
yeah,
and focus. Like, all right, what is the goal here? All right, if this is not
right.
the goal, all right.
That's where envisioning and dreaming and plan, all that kind of stuff can get overboard. It can get out of
Mm,
control because then and you're right. I found the same thing. If I start feeling that anxious and upset and everything, my friend always says, let's go out to eat. And I'm like, I don't have time. I've got to get this done. And he goes, you'll feel better
right?
after you go eat. I'm like, no, you just always want to talk about food. What's wrong with you? And we go out to eat and I come back and I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. Let all that go. And because it will take care of itself. It really will. And the
Mhm.
important things, if your heart is in the right direction, you're going to be okay.
Mhm.
That was hard
I
to
like
hear
that.
when I was younger because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, but the girls need clothes for school. George needs shoes for this. And, I got, they don't have a whole lot, but he is playing golf and I need golf lessons. And all this stuff is pressuring on you. And let me tell you something about kids. They're going to grow up just fine. They're going to grow up just fine. He didn't become a world famous pro golfer anyway, so it didn't really matter. He could have,
Yeah,
and I
he
remind
could
him
have.
of that, but that's my job,
Those,
right?
those shoes could have made it. Um,
If you wanted that golf pro so bad, you should have gone out and got a job and bought some shoes. It wasn't just me on
uh,
the team. But
I think about that. I think about that too. Like, hey, do my kids really need this? And I have like I have a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-month-old. So I'm kind of like, man, what do they need? And I was like, yeah, I did all right. They'll probably be okay with what we have. I just gotta make some things easier for them, basically, if I can.
And Carl, I thought for sure, my kids growing up and knowing all the things that they didn't get to have that other kids got to
Hmm.
have, that they wouldn't want to have a lot of kids. You know,
Uh-huh.
fool me once, fool me twice. They all had at least four each. So I
Wow.
asked them one time, I said, don't y'all remember how much this kids cost? And they're like, I know,
Uh-huh.
Mom, but we have good memories. And I said, well, you didn't act like that when you were a teenager. You acted like life was just over. Anyway,
Classic teenagers.
I did the same to my parents, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome.
everything's a life lesson. And you can all, I guess that's the one thing I would tell people, no matter what kind of work you're doing, if you're not happy in it, then start making plans to find out what it is that you would be happy doing. And
Mhm.
don't just measure it by dollars. The one of the best pieces of advice I got as a single mom one time was looking at a job opportunity, and I had two on the table. One I could have made about 3 times more per year than I was making,
Mhm.
but it would have required 80% of my time to be away from home. And the
Ah.
other one was going to work in county government, local
Mhm.
county government serving seniors. And I am so glad I took that one. But the reason I took it was because my girlfriend, 10 years my senior, kind of my big sister, said to me, here's the thing, Cyndi, if you're serving creation or if you're serving money,
Huh.
just think about it that way. Are you serving money or are you serving creation? And I decided I wanted to serve creation. And the money came. We were fine. We didn't have everything. We struggled. But in the end, I got my dream. I'm running my own business. The kids are happy. They're even helping me in it. No, it's great. It's fine. And they're teaching their own
That's
kids now. So
that's
everything comes
excellent. That's
around,
excellent.
everything works out.
I like that. I gotta make a poster about that. What are you serving creation or are you serving money? I love that. That's awesome.
It's kind of like your house is your home, your sanctuary, your place of safety. But do you serve the house or does the house serve you?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
balance. You have to maintain the home so you can stay living in it. But you don't want to just have a big, luxurious home to impress people. You want to have a home that has a purpose and it's serving. My home is warm and cozy and fun, and people love coming here and sitting around and playing cards or hanging out in the backyard or whatever. And so the house serves us. Do I take care of it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I make sure it's cleaned and I make sure, that repairs are done. But would there was a day in my life, a time in my life when I'd love to live in this big luxurious mansion and have a maid and the kids could each have their own room and we'd have somebody do the lawn and we'd have a swimming pool and blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, it didn't happen. Maybe it happens for some. I know some who have it and they have a balance. I know some who have it and they don't have a balance. We all see them in the media every day, a lot of them. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's interesting. And the same with money. Money will control you or you will control it. And you have to read and study and learn what that means.
Mm-hmm. I
Even if, even if you're not going to be in business, you better learn because it'll get you if you don't learn.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, I'm the same way. I feel like in like in my background, I've been a nurse practitioner for a while. Um, and in the beginning, it was just like that. Like, you make a lot of money, but then you're like, man, you're barely home. You're working like, I don't know, 10-hour days, even though it's supposed to be 8-hour days. And
Yes.
you're not quite yourself because you're always like deprived of like sleep and energy. And then
Right. I get
it's
it.
it was a it was a good lesson. Like, yeah, like you have money, but my gosh, like what else do you have? Like money is, and then it was one of our good friends. He passed away like from a while back, but I still remember what he said. He's like, you need to learn to live from one paycheck. From like, yes, you can afford if you both work. You're both high income, but if you learn to live with one, then it's gonna be fine. Like you can weather storms. You can invest in things. You can change your life. Like you don't have to have like the best of the best. It's and it was really something to hear from someone older that had a lot of things, that had everything, lost everything, got it back again. It's really something to hear it from somebody like that. Like, okay, if this
Yeah,
guy says it, fine. Like, we need to kind of listen to him.
I agree. I agree.
Mm.
My financial person, that's my financial mentor, he lives about 10 levels below what he can afford to live. One of the reasons
Mm-hmm.
is because he's my age, he's older than me. And as you get older, you realize you don't really need all the things you thought you needed. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
nice to have my computer and a camera so I can record YouTubes, and it's nice to have electricity and those kinds of things. But I could I could save some money to go on a trip and live and live for 2 weeks in a villa in Italy and pretend I'm a queen. I don't have to have it year round, right? And I can
That's
save
right.
up the money to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I know if you're gonna, if somebody's gonna give me a mansion and pay for it, I'm not gonna turn it down. But it's not my goal to acquire. The nice thing is when you learn to live within your means, you have opportunities and ways of blessing other people and helping other people
Mm-hmm.
along the way. The best
Mm-hmm.
thing you can ever do in life is pay back what's been given to you. So,
Mm-hmm.
pay it forward, as that movie from years
Mm-hmm.
ago said. Give back to your community. I think we've kind of lost the feeling of you're raising your children. We were raised to be good citizens in my day. So it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
just who you were, it was who you were in the family, who you were at school, who you were in the workplace, and then as an adult, who you were in the community, in the workforce. So who
Mm-hmm.
you are to your neighbors, that kind of thing. Those things they count for something. They make the big
Really.
picture. And you can have the big picture, the big mansion, the big puzzle piece, but then where are the puzzle pieces that make that? And did you take care of them? And do they love you? Do you love them? Do you have time for them?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have time to do all the writing I want? No, I don't. But if I just did all the writing that I want to do, I wouldn't do anything else. And then what would be the point? Every
Nothing,
good
nothing would
gift
get
has,
done.
I mean, every good gift has a price, and you just have to accept that. And boy, when I was young, I fought that truth forever. Oh no, I can make it happen. I can make everything be the way I want it to be, the way I see it right here. My dad would just shake his head.
Ah, why, wise fellow. But yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. Well, Cindy, thank you so much. I feel like you've kind of given a lot of life lessons already. But in case someone wants to learn more about assisted facilities and reach out to you, what is the best way to reach you?
They can reach me directly at my email, which is Cyndi, it's spelled backwards, it's CYNDI at
Mhm.
carehomeconsulting.com. They can go to my website, which is carehomeconsulting.com. They can schedule a free 30-minute appointment with me on my online calendar. They can just do that by going to the website and typing in info at carehomeconsulting.com, and we'll reach out to them and let them know. They can find me on Facebook, Messenger, LinkedIn, any of those ways. They can call me. I'll give you the number, but I get so many calls, I probably won't answer. I'll probably do better if you just text me. So it's
Mhm.
210-284-7921. It's been that number for 30 years. It's never going to change. And
Oh, wow.
I love connecting. So let me know how I can help. Go on our website. You can find out all about our calm training. And when you take one of my calm training courses and you complete it, you get 1 free hour of consultation about anything you want to talk about. And then you also
Hmm.
get access to our monthly ongoing education and training that we're launching this month.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Personal question about the comm training starting tomorrow.
Yes.
What is the time frame for that? Like I didn't get to.
Okay, real quick. Let me do that real quick. So
Mm-hmm.
certification, certified assisted living manager, a certification course is required by the state of Texas if you're going to own, operate. Somebody on the floor that's the manager or whatever has to be certified. The surveyor will ask to see that during surveys. And so that course comes in 3 different ways. If you've never taken it, it's your first time,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be certified 24 hours. So it's a 3-day course. 3 consecutive
Mm-hmm.
days, do 8 hours a day, and that's your 24-hour certification. And it covers all the regulatory, plus in the administrative code, they actually detail out what the content has to be. So we follow that
Okay.
schedule of content, and we have
Mm-hmm.
subject matter experts that present. And then if you are just needing to renew your certification, because you're required to renew it once a year for 12 hours, then you can sign up and just take that portion. So you would take the
Okay.
first day and a half of the class, that would be your renewal. If you are just curious about the regs or you're just new and you're not sure, maybe we do offer one that's called an audit, and that's just the first day. It's 8 hours. So each one of those has a different price range. Right now, our special rate for the new year is $300 for the full course. It's
Mm-hmm.
$150 for the 12-hour. And I don't remember what it is for the 8 hours. I think it's 100 for the 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you can do that. You can see that on our website, or you can send me a text and I'll get you the information. And you can still register this week. We'll take registrations all the way through tonight. So anybody that's hears this, I don't know when this is going to post. So, but we offer it every month at the beginning of the month. So
Okay. Okay. That's excellent. I need to get hopefully our assisted living deal still goes through and either way I'd still like to learn what a manager would need to know.
exactly.
So
So I want to send you an email because I'd like to know a little bit more about you. We just talked about me. So I'd like
yeah,
to know
yeah,
more
for sure, for
about
sure.
what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. Definitely, definitely.
You're
Well,
welcome.
I want to respect your time. I know that was 2 to 3 and wow, just lots of gems and I appreciate you.
Thank
And
you.
just off the record, I've been thinking about a lot of things, especially opportunities and missed opportunity. And I feel like talking to you really gave me peace today. So thank you for that. Even though you did, I don't know if you meant it or what, but I feel like you were the exact person I needed to talk to. And I just want to thank you for that. So
You're so welcome. Thank you for the compliment and sharing that. And then thanks for reaching out and having me on. I love doing this stuff. So we'll stay in touch
thank you. Thank you.
and see where we go from here, huh?
Yes, Miss Cindy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Carb. Best of luck.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
afternoon.
Happy New Year.
Bye.